We're looking at ways of collecting leaves and starting a compost heap today on Pots and Trowels, which is brought to you with the support of Allett and Cobra Garden. Well, hello, welcome to Pots and Trowels. Well and truly is autumn now, and after a very wet and dull October, November's got off to a good start. We've had some sunny days, some frost, really needed frost. It's good for the garden, of course, and it does, believe it or not, frosty weather helps to dry up the soil. But what it's done is made all the leaves suddenly fall off that frost now, so we've got leaves everywhere. There's still some on some of the trees, but my job over the next day or so is going to be clearing up the leaves. I like to see them on the garden, but they don't do the lawn any favours at all, because if you get a thick layer of leaves on the grass, it stops the light getting to it, so it goes yellow and pale. It encourages the worms to come to the surface and they make a mess with their casts and they pull the leaves down. So it's really good to get rid of them. And of course, leaves are really good for making compost, so they are so useful in the garden. We should use them. We shouldn't throw them away, we shouldn't burn them or put them in the bin. We need to keep them in the garden and recycle them. So I thought what we would do, we'll just have a quick look at the ways that you can collect them, and then we'll go over and I'll show you how to start a new heap so you can make lovely compost for next year. So first thing you can do is to use a mower. And very often I get the mower out at this time of the year. Although the grass has almost stopped growing, it is still growing just a little bit, and I set the mower high and go over the lawn where the leaves aren't too thick. Now here it probably is a little bit too thick, but if they're not too bad, you can go over, and as you can see, it collects them really well and it chops them up with any grass as well, so they are then perfect for adding to the compost heap. So do use your mower, but again, don't do it too close and scalp the grass. Other ways you can do it is, instead of raking them all, you can blow them, and these leaf blowers are really handy to use. This one is battery powered. This one is a Cobra one with a lithium ion battery that simply slots on. We've got different settings for turbo and eco, so if we turn it on, put it on to turbo, this is good for blowing the leaves into a heap, so you can blow them off a patio, driveways, off the lawn, and just blow them all into an area. So that's great for clearing areas, especially if they're dry. The other thing you can do is to get leaf vacs and leaf blowers, so bigger scale. That one only blows, and this is one here. This one will blow and it will suck, and collect them in this bag. This is a mains operated one, but you can now get battery powered ones or petrol ones, and it's literally just a case of using it as a hoover in the garden really. And I like to use it around the edge of the gullies in the lawn there where the leaves all collect. It's always good to get them out there before you rake the rest of the lawn, so it's just a case of sucking them up. And what that also does, as it sucks them up, it chops them into small fragments, so again they rot down much easier. And then the other way, of course, is to use the good old-fashioned wire rake. Good exercise. You can cover a big area of lawn really quickly, and this is an ingenious one, this Allett wire rake, because you can adjust the width of the tines, so you can slide it out so you've got maximum spread for raking big leaves, but if they're small leaves or you're working in a tight area, you just simply close it down. And it's amazing, you can really quickly rake together lots of leaves with this. So it's just a case of flicking them off the lawn, and I like to rake them either into rows or into piles, so you get them off the lawn like that, and then once you've created a pile, it makes it much easier just to then gather them all together. And I don't worry about getting everyone up, because I'm probably going to have to do this over a couple of times, or I can use the lawnmower just to finish it off. And then that is all really good material to take now to the compost heap. So it's just a case of gathering them up. This is a really handy little leaf grab here. It's just a case of gather them up, stick them in the barrow, and we can take those to the compost heap, and I'll show you how we're going to make it. And now the fun bit, which is starting to make the compost that we can use in the garden next year. Now, your compost bins don't need to be anything elaborate. I know you can buy all sorts of fancy things, but mine are very Heath Robinson, just knocked together. They're made from some old trellis panels that I'd got. They are probably getting past their best now because they've done 11 years. I reckon I'll get another year or two yet. And I've created 2 bays. You can have 3 if you want to, it doesn't matter, but 2 is the minimum you really need. They're about 1 metre square and 1 metre high. This one's been filled since spring over the summer. Just a few last bits have gone in there, and this one is now almost empty. But if you can't make a bin like this, then don't worry. You know, the green or black plastic bins that you can get that look like Daleks, they're absolutely fine. But again, if you can have 2, it's always good, so you've got one cooking, one that's ready to use. So I've cleared the compost out here. There's still a little bit left in there. I always leave a little bit just in the base because that's got all the worms in there and all the bacteria. But what I also do is just always cap off the one that's going to be rotting down with a little bit of compost, because again, that will just help that top to rot down. And you see, it's perfectly good compost, and you might think it's a bit of a waste, but it's not, because it's basically going to help that heap there start to rot down. So that one is now left. It will settle a bit more, which is what it does as it breaks down, and I can now put my lid on there. Just keeps cats off it, so that will now carry on rotting down. So we can start on this one now, and basically all we're going to do with this is to build layers up as we go. So I've got here the grass cuttings and the leaves. Molly, can you come out, otherwise you'll be composted. Good girl. So just a nice layer in there. So that as you can see is grass cuttings in there and leaves nicely chopped up, so nice and moist, they'll rot down. Molly loves being in a compost bin. And then we've got loads more leaves. Moll, come on, good girl. Just keep them going in, basically. And other things we can put in there is, I've still got some courgettes to take out the garden, so they'll rot down really quickly. The hostas have all died back. The dahlias are going to be cut back soon, so I'll chop those all up into bits. And then it's a case of just keep adding. But what I'm going to try to do is over the next 2 or 3 weeks is fill that up completely, and then get the fork and give it a stir, so I'm mixing all of the ingredients together. Excuse me. Oi. That's my compost heap, come on. And then just put this little front on it just to keep Molly, the compost dog, out. And basically I will try and fill that up over the next couple of weeks, and then that will be full and that will be rotting down. Now if you want to know what this will look like in 12 months time, just come down here with me, squeeze by the wheelbarrow, because what I did was empty that out so that I could make room for the new compost. And if you remember, we put a little bit on this bed last week just to mulch it for the winter. But this is the rest of it. I got 14 wheelbarrow loads of compost, and just look at that. That is absolutely wonderful stuff. It's almost like well rotted manure, bit of root in it, but that doesn't matter. Or it's like bagged compost that you buy. You know, it's absolutely wonderful stuff. So that is great soil conditioner. It's going to help the soil retain nutrients and moisture. It will help worms in the soil and all the beneficial insects that you get in the soil. So it really is worth making garden compost. And at this time of the year, with all the leaves around, you've got the necessary ingredients to start it off. So please have a go, and it'll make your garden much better. And I've got one final thing to do. My assistant in the garden, apart from Jill of course, is Molly. Molly, come here. She's a little bit shy, she doesn't like to tell everybody. As well as making compost, she helps in the garden. It's Molly's birthday today, and she's 11 years old. Loves being in the garden, so I've got her a pear. She loves pears, and I noticed there were a couple still hanging on the tree. So Molly, do you want a piece of pear? Sit, Molly, sit. Sit, can I shake a paw? Oh yes, you'll shake a paw for a piece of pear. There you go. Happy birthday, Molly. Thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and thank you for telling all your friends about us. And don't forget, as well as on Facebook, all the videos over the last 14-15 months are on YouTube, so you can watch everything that we've done. Next week we're going to be back in the veg garden, and I'm going to be propagating some soft fruit bushes, so we'll see you then. Bye.